Have you ever noticed that the most painful goodbyes are the ones we never feel fully prepared for? No matter how strong we are, how much we've lived, or how clearly we saw it coming, losing someone we love still feels like the world shifted beneath our feet. One day they were here, laughing, listening, holding our hands, and then suddenly life asks us to keep going without them. But what if I told you loss doesn't mean the end? What if, within grief, there's a hidden wisdom? What if, inside the pain, there's a quiet doorway to something deeply healing? You see, as we grow older, we begin to understand something younger people often don't, that love and loss are not opposites. They're partners. You only grieve deeply when you have loved deeply. And that means your sorrow isn't weakness. It's a reflection of your soul's strength. This episode isn't just about pain, it's about finding peace, finding meaning, and learning how to carry the ones we've lost, and not as weights, but as light within us. It's for every grandparent, every parent, every soul who sits quietly at night, remembering voices that are no longer heard, but never forgotten. So if you've lost someone you deeply cared about, stay with me. This might be the most comforting 10 minutes of your week. And if you believe healing should be shared, not carried alone, click that subscribe button now. Because here at Grace Health, we're building a space for hearts that have loved, lost, and are still learning to live beautifully. Let's begin. There is a silence that follows loss, an echo that stays in the corners of a home, in the pauses of a conversation, in the memories that sneak up uninvited. Losing someone we love feels like the world has shifted off its axis, like everything continues but not in the same way. In moments like this, even breathing can feel like an effort, and the future seems uncertain and unfamiliar. But it is in this stillness, this unfamiliar quiet, that we are called to understand a deeper side of life. Grief is not something to be rushed. It is not a problem to solve or a pain to escape. It is a process of learning to live again, one breath at a time. As we begin to sit with our emotions instead of running from them, we discover a truth that many miss, that peace doesn't come from forgetting, but from remembering with love instead of pain. Many elders have walked this path of grief and have carried their losses with a quiet dignity. What we often don't see is the long journey it took to arrive there. A journey filled with sleepless nights, gentle tears, whispered prayers, and the eventual reluctant acceptance that life, though forever changed, must go on. It's not about erasing the love we had. It's about making space for it in a new form. One of the most grounding truths we can hold on to is that love does not end when someone passes away. Love simply changes its expression. The laughter we once shared becomes a story we tell others. The advice we used to hear becomes a voice in our heart, guiding us still. Their presence, though invisible, becomes a quiet companion in our days. It helps to talk, to write, to share stories. Telling others about the one you lost is not dwelling in the past. It is honouring a life that mattered. When we speak of them, we allow their light to remain in the world. It's in those stories that others come to know who they were and how much they meant. But loss can also bring up regrets. Things we didn't say. Moments we wish had gone differently. These feelings are natural, but they must not become permanent weights on our spirit. Instead, we can transform regret into intention, into living more honestly, more openly with those who are still with us. Grief teaches us to be present. It shows us that time is precious. And through that awareness, we begin to notice the beauty in small things again. The warmth of sunlight, the sound of a familiar song, the comfort of a hand to hold. Each of these moments becomes a thread in the new life we are gently weaving, one where pain and peace can coexist. There is power in routine during grief. Simple acts, making tea, walking outside, reading a favourite book, can anchor us when everything else feels uncertain. These routines are not about avoiding pain, but creating a safe rhythm where healing can take place. They give the heart room to breathe and the mind a moment of rest. Some find strength in faith, in prayer, in the belief that there is more beyond this life, that our loved ones are not lost, but waiting, watching at peace. Whether through spiritual practices or personal rituals, finding a connection to something greater than ourselves can offer a profound comfort that words alone cannot provide. As we move forward, not away from our grief, we begin to see how loss, though painful, can deepen our compassion. It softens us. It reminds us of what matters. And in this softened state, we become more present with others, more forgiving, more grateful. We realize that the greatest way to honor someone we've lost is to live fully, because they no longer can. In this space of reflection and quiet strength, we discover that healing does not mean forgetting. It means remembering with a full heart. It means allowing both joy and sorrow to sit side by side. And it means continuing to love, to laugh, and to live, not despite the loss, but because of it. We carry the people we've lost, not in our memories alone, but in our actions, in the kindness we show, in the patience we extend, in the wisdom we share with the next generation. They live on in the lessons they taught us and the love they gave us. So when you feel their absence, know that it is a sign of how deeply they were loved, and let that love be the foundation for your strength. Not a wall that holds you back, but a bridge that carries you forward. Let us continue walking through this gentle journey of grief, side by side, and slowly find our way back to peace. Loss is one of the few certainties in life, yet nothing can truly prepare us for its weight. The passing of a loved one, the fading of long-held dreams, the changes that come with age, all carry a sorrow that words often fail to capture. But what if grief, instead of consuming us, could become a doorway? What if heartbreak could open us to deeper strength, greater compassion, and a more meaningful life? In our golden years, many of us find ourselves reflecting not just on what we've gained, but also on what we've lost. It is natural to feel sorrow, even fear. But we are not powerless. With the right mindset and emotional tools, it is possible to walk through loss, not as a victim, but as a soul growing wiser and stronger. If you're here, it's because you're looking for peace, not just a temporary distraction, but true inner calm. And you're not alone. Let's explore this journey together. The first step in facing loss with peace is allowing yourself to feel. Too often, society urges us to be strong, to smile, to move on, to suppress. But grief is not weakness. It is love persevering. When we allow ourselves to cry, to sit in silence to remember, we honor the bond that once was. Real strength is not in pretending to be okay, but in embracing our humanity. Next, we must learn the art of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean agreeing with what happened. It means acknowledging that reality has changed and that we can choose to adapt rather than resist. Imagine a river. It flows, bends, even crashes at times, but it never stays still. Like that river, life keeps moving. The more we resist, the more pain we feel. But the moment we surrender, not give up, but surrender, we begin to float, even in sorrow. One of the most profound practices you can cultivate during loss is presence. Often our minds travel to memories of the past or fears about the future, but peace lives only in the present. Try this. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Listen to the sounds around you. Feel your heart beating. This moment is real. This moment is enough. In this moment, you are safe. Grief can also isolate us, making us feel like no one truly understands. But connection is a lifeline. Reach out to friends, to family, to spiritual mentors. Speak your truth, even if your voice trembles. Sometimes the act of sharing lightens the load, and sometimes just knowing someone is there, even in silence, can bring incredible comfort. Faith and spirituality often become anchors in the storm. Whether you find solace in prayer, nature, music, or scripture, let your soul be nourished. Remind yourself that you are not alone in the universe, that the love you've shared with a spouse, a child, a friend doesn't disappear. It transforms, it lives on in your memories, your actions, your legacy. Now let's keep walking forward with calm and grace. The natural rhythm of grief is not linear. Some days feel lighter, while others bring a surge of sadness. This is normal. There is no timeline for healing, no right or wrong way to mourn. So be gentle with yourself. Imagine you are speaking to a dear friend. What would you say? Take your time, I'm here. You don't need to be okay today. Offer that same kindness inward. Rituals can be powerful tools for healing. Lighting a candle, visiting a special place, creating a photo album. These acts ground us in the reality of both loss and love. They allow us to remember in ways that feel sacred rather than painful. In fact, transforming grief into ritual is one of the oldest human practices, a way to connect across time, space, and even generations. Another way to find peace is by serving others. Pain often turns us inward, but when we use our experience to help someone else, it becomes purposeful. Whether it's volunteering, listening to a friend, or sharing your story, your loss can become someone else's lifeline. This doesn't mean forgetting your own needs, but recognizing that healing sometimes begins with giving. Physical movement also helps release emotional weight. A gentle walk, stretching, or simply stepping into fresh air can shift your state. The body remembers loss just as much as the heart and mind. Treat it well, nourish it, let it carry you forward literally but one step at a time. And then there's gratitude. This might sound surprising, even offensive when grief is fresh, but gratitude doesn't deny pain. It brings light into the shadows. When you recall moments of joy, laughter, shared meals, quiet mornings, you are not ignoring your sorrow. You are remembering that even in a life marked by loss, beauty still exists. Loss will never be easy, but it can be sacred. And with each breath, each sunrise, you have the power to face it with grace. Let's now open the door to deeper understanding and transformation. It's quiet now. The storm of pain has passed, but in its place is a silence so loud it echoes in everything. The air feels heavier, even though time has moved on. That's the weight of loss. It never truly disappears, it only changes shape. Grief is not something we conquer. It's not a mountain to climb or a problem to solve. It is a companion that walks beside us, sometimes whispering, sometimes roaring. And in the quiet moments, it teaches us about love in its purest form. Love that has nowhere to go but inward. The days after a loss can feel like wading through fog. Simple tasks become mountains, and familiar places feel foreign. This is the mind trying to make sense of an invisible wound. Our hearts don't forget easily, because they're not meant to. Love leaves a mark. But even in that fog, there are moments of light, a memory that brings a soft smile, a photo that warms the chest, a scent, a sound, a gesture from someone who cares. These are threads of healing, weaving slowly into the tapestry of our new life. Not a life without the one we lost, but a life with their memory stitched into every breath. Honouring someone's memory doesn't always require a grand gesture. Sometimes it's in lighting a candle, cooking their favourite meal, speaking their name out loud without breaking, or simply living in a way they would have been proud of. These small acts are sacred. And in moments when the ache feels unbearable, it's okay to cry. It's okay to ask for help, to sit in silence, to not have answers. Healing isn't linear, and it doesn't come with a deadline. Some wounds don't close all the way, and that's not a failure. It's a reflection of how deeply we loved. But there is peace on the other side, not because we forget, but because we learn to carry the love with grace. We begin to see life not just as something to survive, but something to honour. Every sunrise becomes a tribute, every heartbeat a reminder, and slowly we become a lighthouse for others. Because when we've faced the darkest seas and still found light, we become a safe harbour. Not by having all the answers, but by being a quiet presence that understands. To everyone who's grieving, you are not alone. Your pain matters, your love matters. And in time, your story will be a testament not just to what you lost, but to what you continue to carry with strength, compassion, and light. Let this be the start of healing. Not forgetting, but transforming. Not moving on, but moving forward with love, with intention, and with the quiet, enduring strength of the human heart. Sometimes, the most difficult part of loss is not the event itself, but the days that follow. The quiet house. The moments you instinctively reach for the phone to call someone who is no longer there. The way your favourite songs suddenly carry a weight too heavy to bear. It's in these still moments that grief often speaks the loudest. And yet, in these moments also lies the gateway to a profound peace. To begin, we must understand that the pain we feel is a reflection of the love we had. The stronger the bond, the deeper the ache. But instead of resisting the sorrow, what if we embraced it as a sacred echo of that connection? Rather than trying to rush through the pain, we can allow ourselves to sit with it, without judgment, without shame. It's not weakness, it's human. Creating rituals to honour the person you've lost can be one of the most powerful steps toward healing. This doesn't have to be elaborate. It could be lighting a candle each morning and whispering a thank you. It could be continuing their favourite tradition or finishing a project they started. These rituals transform grief into gratitude. They remind us that though the person may be gone, the love never left. Equally important is allowing yourself to be supported. Many older adults, especially those who have always been caregivers or leaders in their families, find it difficult to open up and ask for help. But this is a time to be gentle with yourself. Surround yourself with people who honour your story. Talk to someone, a friend, a support group, or a counsellor. Share not just your memories, but your fears, your regrets, your hopes. Grief also calls us to slow down. Our modern world moves fast, often too fast for a grieving heart, but you are not on the clock. Give yourself permission to rest, to reflect, to cry, to smile, to feel it all. Healing doesn't follow a schedule. It flows in its own time, in its own way. And as time passes, you might find that your grief begins to transform. It softens. It becomes a quiet companion rather than a sharp pain. You'll carry your loved one with you, not as a wound, but as a part of your soul's fabric. Their voice may become part of your inner wisdom, their values, part of your legacy, their love, part of the strength you offer others. Facing loss with a peaceful and sincere heart doesn't mean forgetting or moving on. It means moving forward with meaning. It means choosing to let love outlast death. And if you ever doubt your ability to do that, just remember, the same heart that holds the pain also holds the courage to heal. And day by day, breath by breath, you are doing exactly that. Take this moment now, not to rush, not to fix anything, but simply to be. With your memories, with your love, with your beautifully human heart. And when you're ready, we'll continue this journey together. Toward more peace, toward more healing, toward the light that always waits beyond the shadows. Grief is not something to be fixed. It's not a wound that disappears overnight. It is a companion that walks with us for a time, sometimes a long time, and it needs space. One of the most powerful things we can do in the face of loss is not to suppress the pain, but to let it breathe. Just like our bodies need oxygen, our hearts need expression. Grief must be acknowledged, not buried. When we allow ourselves to feel the waves of sadness, we are actually allowing healing to begin. There's a common misunderstanding that strength means hiding your tears, putting on a brave face, and carrying on as if everything is fine. But true strength, the kind that heals, is found in honesty. It takes courage to sit with your sorrow, to cry without shame, and to speak your loved one's name aloud. Whether you write down your memories, share your stories with others, or simply sit in quiet reflection, you are honouring your grief and your love. For many older adults, silence becomes the default. Friends may not know what to say. Family might try to distract you or move on too quickly. But your grief is valid. Just because time passes doesn't mean your pain should be ignored. In fact, grief changes shape over time. It may become gentler, but it never disappears completely, and that's okay. It's a sign that someone mattered to you deeply. One gentle practice that helps many is creating a space in your home for remembrance. It could be a photo on a shelf, a small candle, or even a chair you sit in to reflect. This isn't about clinging to the past, but rather creating a peaceful place for love to continue living in your heart. When you enter that space, allow yourself to be fully present, whether that means tears, smiles, or silent thoughts. All of it is healing. You might also find comfort in rituals, small actions that bring rhythm and meaning to your days. Lighting a candle each morning, playing your loved one's favourite music once a week, visiting a place you once went together. These rituals don't bring closure, and maybe they're not meant to. Instead, they bring connection. They gently remind your soul, you are still loved, and you are still loving. Grief is personal, and no one else gets to decide what your healing should look like. So let it be messy. Let it take its time. Let it take your shape, not someone else's idea of what grief should be. And remember, even in the loneliest moments, healing is not far from you. Sometimes it comes quietly, like the warmth of morning light through a window. Sometimes it's in the voice of a grandchild, or in the feeling of earth beneath your feet as you walk slowly remembering. When we lose someone we love, it feels as though a part of us disappears with them. The world becomes quieter, almost unfamiliar. But in that silence, something else begins to grow, not to replace what was lost, but to honour it. That something is peace. And peace, like any living thing, requires nurturing. Peace does not arrive all at once. It isn't a sudden wave that washes the grief away. It's more like a garden planted in the soil of sorrow, slow to bloom, but deeply rooted. Each small act of care, each choice to keep going is like watering that garden. You don't always see the change right away, but over time it comes. One of the ways this transformation begins is through gratitude. Not forced gratitude, not the kind where you tell yourself to just be thankful, but gentle reflection. Gratitude for the moments you had, the laughter, the lessons, the presence. When we shift from why did I lose them to how lucky I was to know them, our heart softens. We begin to realize that even though they're gone, their love continues to shape us. It also helps to reconnect with what brings you joy. After a loss, many people feel guilt when they start to smile again or enjoy life. But your happiness is not a betrayal, it's a tribute. Your loved one would never want you to stay in the shadows. Embracing life again is not forgetting them. It's carrying their light with you, and that light can be shared. One powerful step in healing is helping others. When you've been through loss, you have a kind of wisdom that the world desperately needs, especially from older hearts like yours. Whether you volunteer, support someone else going through grief, or simply listen with empathy, your presence can be healing to someone else. And in giving, we often receive peace in return. Reflection also becomes a source of strength. Take time to journal your thoughts, your dreams, and even your sadness. Write letters to the person you've lost, not to get answers, but to keep the connection alive. Over time, you'll notice that your words begin to shift from pain to wisdom, from sorrow to insight. This is a sign that your heart is expanding, not closing. In these moments, spirituality can become a powerful companion. For many, prayer becomes a quiet refuge, a place where the heart can speak without fear. Faith reminds us that this world is not the end and that love never dies. Whatever your beliefs, allow them to carry you when your own strength feels too small. Healing is not forgetting. It is remembering with less pain. It is smiling at a memory that once made you cry. It is standing up in the morning knowing that your love didn't end. It simply changed form. And as you gently rise from sorrow, you begin to notice beauty again. The way sunlight moves across the floor, the laughter of a child, the smell of flowers in bloom. These are not just small joys, they are reminders that life, even after loss, is still full of meaning. In the aftermath of loss, many people quietly ask themselves, what now? The routines that once gave structure to life may feel empty. The future that once felt secure may now seem uncertain. But here's the truth that often goes unspoken. Even after the deepest heartbreak, your life still holds meaning. In fact, the search for that meaning can become one of the most beautiful chapters of your journey. You don't need to rush to find that meaning. It unfolds over time, like a sunrise, slowly colouring the sky. But one of the first steps is to gently redefine your purpose. You are no longer living the same story, but that doesn't mean the story is over. Think of it as a new chapter, one that builds upon the love you've experienced, but also allows space for something new to grow. Sometimes that growth comes through creating art, writing a book, starting a garden, crafting something with your hands. These acts aren't just hobbies. They're ways for your soul to speak again. Many people discover that creativity helps them process their grief in ways words cannot. And as they create, they begin to feel a quiet sense of aliveness returning. Other times, meaning comes from connection, spending time with grandchildren, mentoring someone younger, having deep, soul-nourishing conversations with people who understand. When we reach out, even when it feels hard, we often find that love still exists all around us. It just takes on different shapes. And then there's purpose through reflection. As we grow older, we carry a vast collection of stories, and not all easy, but all valuable. Sharing those stories, especially with younger generations, can become a powerful source of legacy. What you've been through, what you've learned, and how you survived, these are gifts. And giving them to others can light up someone else's path. Sometimes purpose looks like simply being present, being kind, being a gentle witness to someone else's sorrow. There is deep meaning in just sitting quietly with someone in pain. No need to fix, just to understand. In those moments, your presence becomes the medicine. And yes, rebuilding also means allowing yourself to experience joy again. It might feel strange at first. You may even hear a voice inside say, "How can I laugh when they're gone?" But joy doesn't erase love, it honours it. Every smile, every dance, every moment of peace is a sign that their love still lives in you. You carry it with you into every tomorrow. Some people find new paths altogether, a move to a new place, a different role in the family, new friendships. None of these changes mean you're replacing what was lost. You're expanding. You're allowing life to shape you again, not in spite of the pain, but because of the strength you found within it. And perhaps above all, rebuilding meaning means living with intention, being mindful of how you spend your time, choosing what truly matters, letting go of what no longer serves your heart. In doing so, you not only create peace for yourself, You become a quiet inspiration for others watching you from afar. This journey of grief doesn't end, but it does transform. And the person you're becoming, wise, tender, courageous, is someone the world truly needs. There comes a moment in every grief journey when we begin to ask not how to move on, but how to move with the memory of the one we lost. It's no longer about leaving behind the pain or pretending it never happened. Instead, it's about carrying forward the love, letting it live through us in quiet, meaningful ways. Memories are not meant to be locked away in silence. They are meant to be spoken, sung, shared and cherished. Tell the stories, the little ones and the great ones. Speak their name. Laugh about the moments that once annoyed you but now bring a smile. These remembrances are not only healing for you, but they help others understand the beauty of the person who shaped your life. Some people carry memory through rituals, lighting a candle on their birthday, cooking their favourite dish during the holidays, visiting a place they once loved. These small acts can transform sorrow into sacredness. They remind us that love doesn't disappear. It simply changes form. Others choose to give in honour of the one they lost, donating to a cause they cared about, supporting a family in need, creating a scholarship, planting a tree. These offerings ripple outwards and become living testaments to the impact one soul can have long after their body is gone. But memory isn't always joyful. Sometimes it's sharp and aching. Sometimes it arrives uninvited and knocks the wind out of you. That too is okay. Let yourself feel it without shame. Grief is just love with nowhere to go. But when we let it be felt, it softens. Over time, it becomes a quiet companion rather than a heavy weight. Your loved one may no longer be here physically, but they live in your values, in the way you treat others, in the choices you make, in the wisdom you pass on. That's how legacy works, not just in what's written, but in what's lived. And you, simply by living with compassion and grace, become part of that ongoing story. When you walk through life now, you walk with a deeper depth. You understand what truly matters. You don't rush through moments as easily. You've looked pain in the eye and chosen to love anyway. That strength, that resilience, is not just a sign of survival. It's proof of love's power. And if you ever wonder whether your grief or your healing has any purpose, look around. Look at the people whose hearts you've comforted, the kindness you've extended, the gentleness in your voice. These are the echoes of the person you lost, carried through your hands, your eyes, your soul. In the end, healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering with peace. It means walking forward, not despite your loss, but because of all that love has taught you. It means being able to say with full honesty, I loved, I lost, I carry them with me, and I will live well for both of us. So to every heart reading this, know that your grief is valid, your healing is sacred, and your life, even now, still matters deeply. Let the memory of those you've loved become a light that never dims. And as you continue your days, may you find not just peace, but a renewed sense of purpose. Knowing that love, real love, never dies. It simply transforms and lives on through you.